Have you ever done something that you knew wasn't helping you, but you still found yourself doing it again anyway?
Yes, me definitely, and majority of the humans. We just run an autopilot, carrying on, not thinking what we're doing, where we're going with what we're about to do. We just carry on day after day, the same routine.
And just to be clear, it's not because you don't know better. You can have all the advice in the world. I mean, Mum, you've given me like really good advice sometimes, but I still end up doing the same thing anyway and wonder why.
Because I can give you advice, but if your body and mind is not willing to accept it, if there's a pattern in the background trying to keep you safe, it doesn't matter what I tell you. Not until you feel safe enough to receive it, nothing's going to change.
Exactly. So with that, we welcome you back to the One Moment Rule podcast with Rita and Vanita. Today we're talking about the question we ended our introduction episode with: why do we keep repeating patterns we know aren't helping us?
So this topic was picked because it's very close to how I used to be. I would do things over and over again and afterwards regret them, because it doesn't matter how much someone says to you, be motivated, just get on with it, you're confident, you can do it. It doesn't work. Not until you break your patterns and you understand where all these patterns are coming from. Only then can you get to the bottom of it, and then you move forward once you break those patterns.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I can think of one straight away, something that I used to do all the time, which was, I'm meeting a friend and we're picking a date, and they'll say, oh, I can't do that date, sorry. And I'll say, oh, no worries, I'll change my plans, or, I'll be more flexible. And I would just think, well, I'm just being polite and I'm just being accommodating. But, that's just me as a person. And I remember you'd say to me, Mum, you'd say, oh, but why are you changing it for them? Like, that now doesn't work for you. You have to do your, change your plans.
So why did you do it?
I think at the time I thought, but I'm just being nice. Like, they're my friend and, why not? Like, if I can move things around, then I didn't think of, well, maybe they could move something around. I didn't think about how it would be affecting me.
So there was something going on in the background which you were unaware of.
Yeah, I think I just thought that's my personality. But as I've become more self-aware of why I'm doing things, just taking a moment to go, okay, well, does this actually work for me? I've realised that deep down I had this insecurity of like being alone. Like, oh no, if I maybe upset them, then they won't be my friend anymore.
Yeah, and we all go through this, but you've recognised, so you can sort it out and you can build from there. But the sad thing is, most people takes a lifetime and they never recognise what's going on.
Yeah, it is sad, because I think I probably would have carried on doing it. And now I take a moment, I say, no, that's not going to work for me. It's going to have a negative effect on me. So I actually almost put myself first, but not in a selfish way, just going, I can still be nice to that person, but I can still think about myself too. And that also works.
Yes, because it's having healthy boundaries. So it's very funny, I've mentioned healthy boundaries, but I had no healthy boundaries myself. I mean, when I grew up, I inherited this conditioning belief that family comes first. And I picked that up from a very, very young age, maybe 7. So any time, which you might remember, Vanita, family calls, I get up, morning, daytime, evening, weekend, not thinking how is it going to affect our household, how it may affect you or your other brothers and sisters, but just get up and do it. But that was conditioning. So there was a pattern running there, which I'd learnt that's the way things happen from a young age. So that was inherited. But the other part was that when I used to go up and help them, I wanted to belong somewhere. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be liked, because I always felt something was missing. And again, that all comes from a pattern I carried on, believing that's what I have to do. So once I decided that's what I have to do, it became part of my life. But that really wasn't what really should have happened. But when you're a child, you don't know these things. But when you become an adult, you do need to pause and question your everyday routine, what you are doing for yourself.
So what it sounds like is you, again, like me, it came from a place of insecurity. But in your case, it was if you do something for someone in the family, let's say, that you would maybe be seen, and, you'd be like, almost like being seen was like a reward almost, even though it should just be something that
love was conditional. So I learned from a very young age that love is conditional. To get love and attention, you have to earn it. That's the way it was. And that's the way I grew up. Yeah, I didn't pose all this onto you and your siblings. But the thing is, what people don't understand is that even though I did not impose those beliefs onto you and I told you to have boundaries, you actually mirrored what I was doing. But at that time, you don't realise that children do pick up what the parents are doing, even though the parents are saying, don't do that. I've got so many more stories I could tell you. But if I asked you today, what would you put in place so that you wouldn't go back to those patterns and forget yourself?
Well, I think I try and do like 3 things, and it's not always in the same order, or I don't always manage to do them. But I think firstly, it's, you know, like I said, taking that moment to notice how I'm feeling in my body. You know, do I feel tense? Usually like I clench my fists if I'm feeling a bit stressed. So I tend to notice how I feel, and then like notice what exactly is the situation I'm in. So like the one I said about my friend, you know, oh, they want to maybe change the date. Before I just answer straight away and say yes, I have to work out, well, if I don't say yes to them, am I going to upset them?
So you're pausing, basically.
Yeah, that's not a fact. I'm thinking in my head, I might upset this person. So I have to separate the fictional from the fact. If I say no, is this person going to be upset? Well, I don't know that. So there's no point me trying to go above and beyond to please this person. So I think it's establishing fact and fiction is a really important part of this. And that's how I think I break the pattern. And then I realised, no, it's fine. I can do what I said and they'll be okay. And usually it's always fine. So it's just the things we create in our mind.
Yeah, so what from that I gathered is you need to have your body relaxed and breathe and say to your body, I'm okay with what's happening.
Yeah. Like talk to yourself. Like I talk to myself a lot. Like anything. Sounds really weird. But
no, I understand because I do it. You have to recognise, like you said about your fist clenching. I grind my teeth, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then I know straight away now something's not right. Yeah. So it's looking out for those signs.
Yeah, recognise. Just recognise your body. Like, don't ignore those things. It sounds almost bizarre because you think, well, how have I got so much time to sit there and notice that? But if you keep doing it, or sometimes if I notice it, I write it in my journal. I like to journal, as you know. So I like to write down if situation happens and it's kind of bothered me or I felt a certain way, I'll write it down and then I don't read it back again after. I just letting it out on paper is always a good way to kind of...
Yeah, and you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall off here and there. Every day can't be perfect, but the more you do it, the more you practice it, the more the brain rewires and it becomes a habit, and then you don't go back to those old patterns, I guess.
Exactly, and that's why we always talk about our 4R mechanism, because it's those 4Rs. And it sounds, again, bizarre in that one moment. You're doing all of those things. But again, over time, like you said, you just keep rewiring and keep rebuilding. And you'll be surprised how less you do those things and how much more better you feel for it.
So it is remembering that if you do it the first time, you fall off. You do it the second time, it still didn't work. It's a slow process. If you consistently do it, you focus on it. It's being disciplined as well. It will work. Remember, the body feels it first before the mind takes over and brings up all the archives and doesn't let you move forward. It does work, but you do need to focus. And in that small space, you take over, you take charge.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. And it's just noticing in that moment, and that's where it all begins. And that's where once you understand why it happens, then you can respond differently. And that's where you see the shift happen. And that's where you have all these changes. So remember, it's not a big transformation overnight, like Mum said. It's those small things every day that you do.
Thank you, everyone, for listening today. The One Moment Rule podcast. My name's Rita, and Vanita is delighted that she can help somebody today because I know this means so much to her.
Yeah, it means so much to both of us, and we really hope that just by listening to this, and even if you know somebody and you're listening and you're thinking, oh, this person might benefit from hearing this too, then feel free to share and send. And we hope to have you here next week for our next episode, next week, Wednesday. But keep an eye on our socials for what the topic will be then. But with that, see you next week.